Let's see how it goes. Okay, we're actually live now. It's the first time, oh no, this is the second time I'm coming live, but not at this time. Um, and this is basically just to encourage anyone. So I'm trying to check my chats as well so that I know that I have people on here. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, so today I have a very special guest in the house, but before I bring her on, I feel like there's a word to encourage someone. I honestly didn't feel like coming on this live for the very first time. Um, like when you want to come and do something, and it's like the whole weight of the world is on your shoulder. My body started paining, everything, everything just started doing me. I'm like, Holy Spirit, what is this? God, what is going on? And I feel like, somebody watching this or will watch this later might be feeling like Moses. You've heard the word, go and do, go to the marketplace. Just and you're so excited about the word. Yes. God has said this is my year 2025. I'm taking over. I'm making grounds for him. God told Moses, oh yeah, go to the land of Egypt. Yeah, go and tell Pharaoh, let my people go. And you will think that because it's God Almighty that told him to go and do something, that he will just go breathing. Pharaoh will say, okay, I don't want wahala with God. Carry them and go. And he will breathe out and everything will just run smoothly. Say, lie, it's like all the troubles. If you read the scripture, God hardened Pharaoh's heart, all the troubles that you can ever think of. And we've not even experienced the amount of troubles that Moses experienced: lies, boils, darkness, death. I mean, if it were me, I would think like, God, Shebi is you that say I should go now. Which one? What's all this? What's going on? And somebody is feeling like, God, shebi is you that said I should start this freelance business now. What's all this? Where are the clients? Why is it slow? What's going on? What's going on? I don't know. Maybe this weight I'm feeling, somebody is feeling it. And we are just in that moment of what's going on. Thank God this our special guest is in the house. She will share her story. I believe that she has a word for somebody. She will share her story. Imagine the experience that Jesus had the when he was baptized by John the Baptist, and everybody watching him, thousands of people watching him, and a dove descended from heaven saying, "This is my beloved son." Hey, anointed Jesus. See how anointed he was. This is my beloved son, marked by my love, in whom I am well pleased. See that height of, let's say, ministry, so to as it were. We are talking business now, but I'm just relating the Bible to what happened immediately after that peak or that pinnacle. God had sent his word. Yeah, you are my son. I love you. You are this, you are that, you are that. The Bible said immediately he was led into the wilderness for 40 days. Like, what kind of wilderness experience is this? And I just feel like people are just like, God, now, but you said, go and do this thing. I will be your PR. I will send in clients. You are building me a global business. You are this, you are that. And you're just looking like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? The only word I have for you this morning is just to move forward. You see, when the children of Israel were in front of the Red Sea and they were complaining, you should have just left us in Egypt. Oh, you bring us out here to come and die. What did the word of the Lord say? Move forward. Move forward. God told Moses, what are you doing here? Stretch out your rod. Tell the children of Israel to move forward. So I'm telling the person listening to me now, or will be watching this later, move forward. Yes, you have heard the word of the Lord. Don't be doubting yourself that, hey, this business, we are sent to, we are kingdom entrepreneurs sent into the marketplace for such a time as this, for a purpose and for a reason. So move forward. Move forward. I don't want to take so much of our time. I have a special guest, like I said, in the house. I met her about 3 years ago online, and I met her physically last year. And believe you me, she's the same person as she is online, as she is physical. Warm, kind. I mean, I just gave her one long, warm hug. Like, is this you the same? No difference, no nothing. And I'm so blessed that the Lord brought her, into my life to connect with her. Mary is the very first person that won a scholarship at DBA when we're still DBA. Now she was the very first that won our scholarship. And in 3 years, I'm going to let her tell you what the Lord has done in her life and through her business. And yes, I know that people are gleaning from this, and people will be learning from her lessons as a freelancer. And before you ask me, I know, yes, she's one of the mentors at the Scale Up Circle mentoring program. She will be taking a social media management slash marketing program. So yes, let me just put that out there before you start asking me. But I'm going to bring her on now. I'll let her share from what her life was before she won the scholarship at DVA, and after the scholarship, what then happened and how she has been able to run her business these 3 years. So without further ado, I want to bring on stage Mary Ajagbe. It's so nice to have you here. Before Mary came on, I was just saying, Mary, I don't have any questions for you. Like, my notes is blank. Everything is blank. I don't have any questions for you on this interview session, but I trust the Lord. I know that even as He has started, I trust the Lord that He will give you a word in season. He has already given you a word in season for somebody that's going to be watching this. So, Mary, would you kindly introduce yourself? Let people know who you are and what you do.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. So good to be here. Coach Dami, thank you so much. It is an honor to be on the call with you this morning and with the amazing people that are listening in and will be listening in as the session continues. Um, my name is Mary Ajagbe, and currently the the bulk sum of what I do now, I like to call myself a digital creator. Interestingly, I'd gotten this name about a couple of years ago, but for some reason, I didn't settle into it. But along the way, just journeying, I kind of just like, okay, Lord, you know what? I'm going to sit with this tag that has been given to me. So yes, I work as a social media manager um, for different individual brands, and I also like to call myself a midwife because that's one of the things that I discovered, in the journey that since I started freelancing. So yeah, that's about it. And yeah, also, so I'm also a Christian life coach and mentor. And yes, you will be seeing me in the Scale Up mentoring session with Coach Dami and other amazing coaches that will be on board to help you navigate your journey as a freelancer and also as a kingdompreneur. I think that's the word they call it now. So yes, that's about me in a bit. Coach Dami, are you on the call? I'm not sure I can see you for some reason. Not sure I can see Coach Dami. Can everyone see her?
I just gave you the floor. I'm here. I'm watching you. I'm here. Can you?
Okay. I didn't see
I
you.
gave you
Hey,
the
Lord.
floor. I know
Yeah.
it can be quite scary. Like, am I doing this alone? No, 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 no. So take us through. your journey, how you started. I feel like someone might be thinking, oh, how do I start? And they want to learn from your journey, how you started. Were there any like pitfalls? Were there anything that was hindering you from starting as a person? Please just take us through that journey.
Okay. All right. So I'll just start with before a few, should I say few months before I met Coach Dami online. So I was working at a company where train life coaches, which was also where I got trained as a life coach. And so I was working as a customer service then. And before that time, I worked at a hotel as a server, but not for a hotel itself. I was helping to serve food at the what's it called? So they have like a canteen for the workers of a hotel. So that was where I was serving food, and I mean, the story of me working dates back. But let me just
Wow.
start from this point. So then I got the job with, as a customer service rep to work with the company that I worked with at the time, the coaching company. And so I got on there. First year was amazing. It was new. This was corporate. It was new, a beautiful experience for me. First year, second year. By the time I got to my third year, I started to feel like, okay, is this all that it is? Is this, is this just all to me? And I started to
Mm,
feel a discontent in my soul and in my spirit, plus I wanted to earn better, right? And I was also I had some other struggles, in terms of school wise. And so I was just wondering, how do I navigate this? And I was in that place. And I remember one day, my boss at the time forwarded, the so Coach Dami was running a program then at the time, and I was offering a scholarship, and just said, "Tell me why you need this." For the very first time in my life, I've never won anything. He said, "Ah, people are winning something here. I've never, never won anything. In fact, I didn't even try because I'm like, of course, they will not pick me, so let me not bother." But when I saw this one and she forwarded it to me, for the first time, I said to myself, "Let me try."
mm,
And so I feel like this that I just said is like the
mm,
beginning phase for everything. Try,
mm, mm,
try. Just you never can tell when you don't know the way of the wind. Let me put it like that. So just
yeah.
try. And so for me, that day I just said, I'm just going to be bold and I'm going to do this. I commented and I said, this is what I currently do. This is what I'm hoping to do. And I would really love to do this. Now, before then, I noticed that at the work I was doing, they had already started giving me social media work to do. Like, but I was just not interested. I was like, this one, they're just giving me work. They're giving me work. So I was struggling. Then they would get somebody else to come and take over the role. And then for some reason, the person would leave and it will fall back on me. I'm like, what's going on here? What's going on here? And I feel like that's another word for somebody because you might
Mm,
have found yourself in that place where you find that people easily just give you stuff to do and you're wondering, well, I don't think I'm interested in this thing. That's a cue, for you to build up in that area, right?
mm,
And so after this point, now they got somebody that was working, and so I had some time, and so I signed in. I signed up for the scholarship, and I was just amazed when I got the message. You won. I'm like, I won something in my life. This life of mine. I
oh
won.
my
I was
goodness.
I don't think Coach Dami understands what happened to me that day. That was the beginning of a new journey, a new opening, and a new phase for me. Now,
Mhm,
I got the scholarship. Thank full scholarship, by the way. Full scholarship. I didn't have to pay anything. It was just like it was amazing. Let me just keep it like that. And I said my thank yous and everything. I started the course. I was given access. I started the course. I took everything. Honestly, at some point I didn't understand some things, but I was like, okay, I wish I just do what it is that I have to do in the now, even though I don't understand the full bulk of all I'm learning now. I learned that, but I didn't immediately get into, working. What happened was I got into another phase of work. I was just like, okay, I've added this thing to myself, and I just went, okay, I've added, but how do I move on? And so I was still doing my job as a customer service rep and everything. But one day I remember that day I was interning somewhere else, because I was thinking of travels at the time. So like, oh, you have to go and intern at an hospital. So I was also in a place where I was just very scattered. I didn't have direction, so to say, about what it was that I wanted to do. And so this one would come and it seemed like, yeah, it was the right thing to do. This one would come. But I just had my hands in so many things at the time, up until this particular day, right? And I'd gotten on a call earlier with someone that I was, working with. Now, this time around, I started working with the woman and doing social media work, helping her set up, podcasts, but I wasn't getting paid for it. I wasn't billing. I was just doing it, right? Because this is already something that, again, I'd learned it, right? And so, Mary, I was just offering, oh, okay, yeah, and I would do it. But this particular day, there was an issue. She was trying to send me money. And for some reason, so she calls me and says to me that, Mary, I've been trying to send you money, but for some reason, this is the third time that I'm realizing that I am encountering a wall anytime I try to send you money.
mm,
And immediately she was talking to me, I was like, something is going on here that I need to check in.
mm,
And so I got back home that day. I'd finished at the hospital where I was interning, and as I was walking, in fact, I walked a very long distance because I was thinking and thinking and thinking about, Mary, what exactly are you supposed to be doing? What is going on with you? I got back home. Guys, I cried from that night
mm,
till the next morning, 6 a.m.
mm,
I was crying. I sat on the floor in my room. I was living alone then, I was crying and I was talking. I was crying. I was talking to God. I was crying. It was almost like I got to the end of myself. Like I
mm,
didn't know what else to do. It felt like I was walled in, but I didn't know what was happening with me. But I just knew that the only person I could deal with at that point was God. And so I prayed, I talked, I lashed out, everything was happening till 6
mm,
a.m. the next morning. I I've never had that experience again after then. But I remember that the very next morning, the very same person that was the one that sent me the link to Coach Dami's scholarship advert then calls me. Usually she would have sent me a message. She calls me and then she says, so she heard my voice. You know when you've cried now, your voice becomes husky, your eye all swollen and everything. So she calls, she's like, what's going on with you? I said, ma'am, no, okay. Oh." And that's another thing, honesty. And it's just it's an amazing thing to have people. And, Coach Dami is one of the persons that I know that when I'm at that place, I'm just like, Coach Dami, can I talk to you, ma? And she's just like, yeah, and just bouncing off. Sometimes you have, what I've come to realize is you already know what it is you're supposed to be doing, but that overwhelm, just walls you in from seeing what it is that you're supposed to do next. And so she says, oh, what's going on with you and everything? I said, ma, I'm not okay. I don't know. I just feel like I need to earn more. This. And she said to me, she said, Mary, but you learned something with Coach Dami. What have you done with that? And it was like a light bulb moment for me. I'm like, that's true. What have I done with what I have been gifted? What have I done with what I have learned? What have I done with what is in my hands that I already have? And so when we got off the call, I just sat down. I'm like, and so it was almost like then I knew what direction my prayer was to go in. All the while, what I did the entire night till the morning was just ranting and just praying everywhere. It was a scattered prayer, but the Lord saw that I needed help and sent me help the next morning to give me clarity. And after that, the next prayer that came out of my mouth is, Lord, who do I need to speak to? How do I begin this? And he started to say, oh, there's somebody you're already working with. Why don't you, you're already in a community where you have a lot of coaches? Why don't you begin to reach out to the ones that you already have rapport with and say to them that this is what you do? You can offer it to them. You can do this. You can do that. And I thought, oh, that's amazing. I can do this. Of course, I was a little bit scared because I mean, these people, it's a community. What I've done with them so far is based off of this other company. So I was a little skeptical, but I said, you know what? Again, I'll just go for it. What's the worst that can happen? They'll just say no. What's the worst that can happen? They may probably report me to my boss and say somebody from your company reached out to us. But again, I tried. Now this is the second phase of trying. And so I reached out to a few people that I, had rapport with, and I told them this is what I can do. And one woman reaches out to me and says, "Ah, that's amazing. I've really been looking for somebody to help me do this." She's in the UK and all of that. She's like, "Oh, I've been looking for somebody to help me do this and everything." I said, I can do it. And this was how I started. And this one woman was the very same person that started to refer me to other people. I just started with her. I started with her, and she was a doorway for me to have some, people on board that I started to work with. I worked with her and then somebody else. Now, this other woman I was working with at the time that, I was just doing stuff for and, was just there. So I sent her a message and I said, "This is what I do now. I charge." And she was like, "Oh, okay. This, the bulk of this that you've been doing for me, okay, this is how much I would pay you." And then that was how I started. And within, let me say, from that day till like 3 months after, there was just a literal change in my finances. Now, this is me that I would struggle to, what I'm earning at the end of the month has already gone before it even arrives. So now this was me that I had extra to be able to support my family, to be able to, do some other things that I wanted to do for myself. And for some reason, it built up my confidence. It gave me this new vibe, like, rich auntie vibes. Well, not full rich auntie vibes, but it did something for me that I'm like in a better place now to be able to handle some things financially. It wasn't the bulk of it, but it was a good beginning for me. And so yeah, that's been my beginning journey up until this point. Do you still want me to go on, or you want to ask another question so I can build up
I
on that?
mean, so amazing. Even me, self, I'm just gleaning and gleaning and gleaning and gleaning and learning. I remember when you said, you were having that conversation with that your mentor, that she was saying, what do you have in your hand? What have you done with what
Yeah.
you have learned? And I feel like a lot of us were watching YouTube videos. Oh, I want to be perfect at this. And I fall into this category. You just want everything to be picture perfect. Meanwhile, start first. Elijah, when he went to meet that widow in Zarephath, was asking her, "What do you have in your hand?" Say, "I don't have any." That was where she first said, "I don't have anything, no, but just one small oil." You have something. I remember when I was starting out as well, I didn't have anything. And this is especially directed to ladies and women who feel like, don't have much, oh, we're just, managing, we're just, no. I didn't have anything. But the Lord whispered to me that you have internet. I didn't have anything, but I had 247 internet. Free
Okay.
internet that I used to build a business that is still running up until today. So as you're listening, just search your heart, search. You have something. Don't just binge watch, oh, let me take this course and the next one and the next one until you become a professor at nothing and you're just accumulating knowledge and not using it to do anything. No, that's not what God wants us to do. That little that we have, He wants to use it and to use us to even bless other people. So I'm so excited for this this beginning journey. I mean, it's spurring people on to say, okay, if Mary can, then I can. If
Yes.
Damilola could, then I also can. Yeah,
Yes.
but I want us to niche down. I know that you are a specialist at social media, and some people, that's the line they want to go into, and they're just wondering, oh, how do I start? Okay, I know that my niche is in social media, is in digital marketing, is in social media marketing. What are the first steps? What should I be thinking at doing or looking at doing first of all as I want to start?
Okay. So the very first thing that I would say is that you've already identified, so that, like, it just gives you clarity on diving in. The very first thing you have identified, this is what I really want to do. Social media, amazing, good stuff. A round of applause for yourself. Because a lot of people struggle with wanting to know what exactly, it is that they want to do, but you've been able to identify. It takes, a bulk of the load off of you. Now the very next thing is, ask yourself, do I know enough? to begin if you don't know enough to begin, because there is a knowledge that is enough to just begin. You learn as you go, and as you grow, you learn. But do I have enough knowledge, right? So that if somebody was to, for instance, if you have prospective client or something, and they ask you a question, are you able to answer without fidgeting, right? You don't have to know everything, but just being able to say some things would even give off the vibe like, oh, this person knows what she's about, she knows what she's talking about. So the next thing is get knowledge for the enough to start. You don't have to know it. Social media is broad. Social media, social media management, social media marketing is broad. It's not that, no, it's broad, right? So the basics for social, what is social media? What is social media management? Just begin to understand, okay, what are the platforms available that I can work with? LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, all of that. And then also just identify, do I want to start with everything at the same time? Or do I even want to be able to build with clients in terms of, okay, I can start with Facebook and Instagram for a start. And as I begin that, of course, there are some dynamics to doing that. But any person can know how to and can learn how to use Facebook and Instagram very quickly like this. Then there's LinkedIn, but there are dynamics to using LinkedIn because it's a professional platform. Then there's TikTok, which is all fun and video. You need video editing and all of that. But first, right, you've identified the basic knowledge. Then the next thing you want to do is, do I want to start with Facebook and Instagram? Because that was one of the things that I started with the clients I was working with. I just said, you know what, Facebook and Instagram, I have some ideas that I think would be good enough. And from what I've learned, this is a good place to start for me. And so I started with that. And so the offerings I would give, I would say, oh, Facebook and Instagram, and from there, the next thing was, as I was doing that, I was also learning other platforms. And then another thing, of course, you don't have to do it like me, but I also just, for some reason, I'm not on TikTok. And this is just like my own personal. And I'm like, this is my own personal preference, right? And this has nothing to do with, you can decide you want to do what platform. That's amazing. Get into that. If it is all the platforms you want to do, get into that, right? So for me, I did Facebook and Instagram first, and from there I started to learn LinkedIn. I started, then I got a client that, she was more on the professional side. She was working with the top oil company. And so, she needed to show up professionally. So I'm like, okay, I can use this person as a platform to practice what I have learned in terms of LinkedIn. And so I started, with posting for her articles and all of that. And that was how I started to also grow myself with LinkedIn. Now, get this. So it started from Facebook and Instagram. Then I moved to LinkedIn because I got a client now that was very professional based. And so I needed to put this now on board. I needed to put this now on board. So then I got into all three platforms, right? And then the next thing that I grew into was YouTube, which is also what I'm currently doing, and thinking to add up to my service of YouTube management. So yes, I'll take that. I'll take the steps again. You've identified this is what I want to do, whether it's social media management or social media marketing, which has to do with marketing, and you have to understand algorithms, platforms. You need to be conversant with a lot of tech apps. And I just believe that the apps are there to make your work easier, right? And there are some that you can begin to use free, right? And so it is doing that research. You have got to be, social media, as much as you're doing it for other people, I also see it as a way to also build yourself because you're learning on the go as you do the job. So it's not a job that you plateau in and say, oh, I've already known this, so I stay here. No, you are learning because when you say you keep learning, this is exactly the platform that helps you to do that and the job that helps you to do that. So social media marketing, social media management, digital marketing, you are learning on the go. So you have to keep yourself abreast of all of the things that are happening, the trends and all of that. You don't have to, again, you don't have to know everything so that you don't get overwhelmed, but you have to know enough. You have to know enough, the basic enough to begin with. And as you begin, you then grow, you learn more as you go. And you find out that the more that you practice, the better you become, right? So this is for, every beginner in the room. Just start from where you are, know what you're about, get enough basic knowledge so that you can hold a conversation with a client so that they know that, okay, she doesn't, they can't even tell whether you know everything, because again, they are coming to you because there's something they don't know about social media. So know enough to be able to dazzle them, right? And know terms that you can use, right, to be able to, dazzle them and say, oh, this is what you're going to do for this. Oh, this is what and when you begin to talk like that, I'm not saying fake it to make it, but I'm saying get basic knowledge to be able to have a conversation with a potential client that would let them know that, okay, this person knows something and I can work with you, right? And so yeah, that's just it for the beginning and mission. So I hope I've been able to answer a bit.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Thank you so much, Mary. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people have or will gain a lot of knowledge from what you, especially those that are just starting out. There's this question that I've gotten a lot of mentoring people, and I'm just going to throw it to you. Especially people maybe sometimes in this part of the world and not even in this part of the world, people might be confused about how to set their pricing. Now, I've gotten this question, oh, should I set hourly rates? Should I do package based? Should I do project based? What would you advise somebody that is just starting out to do, especially people that are confused to say that, if I set hourly rate, how does my client know I've worked X amount of hours? How, can I prove this, or what is going to work best for me? Can you answer that question?
Okay. So the very first thing is that so this was a struggle that I also had. Like, what do I what do I say? What, because I don't even know, and then there's also how you go on Google and type in what do social media managers charge. you know, and you see 50,000 error, you see 35,000, you see, and then they will say depending on. So for me, this is what I would advise, that because I also realized that that question usually comes from a place of low self-esteem. Sometimes people struggle with low self-esteem, and so you feel like, oh, I think I have to just charge them little so that they can come to me, and all of that. Now, if you're somebody that is beginning, what I will say to you is, I need you to take a good look at yourself and take a good look at the work, at the service you're about to begin to offer. And you need to be proud of that work and proud of your service before you go ahead and then say, okay, now what is the starting rate, right, for this particular role in Nigeria? What is the starting rate for this particular role outside the country? You need to compare and find a balance between both, right? Especially also, one of the things that I also realized is that sometimes, not all the time, sometimes there are some clients that they just feel like because you're in Nigeria, they have to just give you peanuts and you have got to be fine with it. They'll price you like tomatoes and you just have to take it because they're like, Isha Nigeria, you almost seem like there's nothing much, you're not paying taxes like that. So there's that looking down on because you're in Nigeria and you're working from Nigeria. So you want to be very conscious of that. And once you get that beginning price, right, you then decide, so how much can I take based off of the work that you are going to be doing? You have to consider data. MTN now has increased their data by about 18%. So you want to do something that you will not grumble at the end of the month, if especially if you want to charge monthly based off of your total package, right? That's another thing. You need to determine, what am I going to be offering, right? So also list out in your package, right? This is what I'm going to be doing. The social media, this is how many days I'm going to post. This is per one post per day, two posts per day, three posts per day, all of that. You need to put those things down first and then begin to do your research, right? And then you ask yourself, okay, what can I take? When you put in, how much data will I use to ensure that I'm not I'm not asking somebody for data during the month. I'm not sending a message to somebody to say, please, can you send me data? Please, can you borrow me something for data? As much as you want to do good work, you also don't want to get into debt. You also don't want to get into that zone where you're saying, please borrow me, please, I'll pay you at the end of the month. And then at the end of the month, it comes in and then you're struggling, right? So you want to consciously, as much as you don't want to be, overly exorbitant in your billing as a beginner, you also need to be cognizant of what are the resources, what are the things I'm going to use. Data cost a lot right now. So you also want to make sure that when you remove data out of it, whatever is left, you're still able to say, okay, for a start, I can work with this, right? But don't, mm, let me, let me, I want to restructure that carefully, right? So that it's not like this is not an overall, it's not an absolute. What I've just shared is not an absolute, right? There are dynamics to it. And there are also clients, say for instance, you work with, so now that which I just said is based off of working with an individual as a client. Then there is working with an organization where you can get a job with an organization and they say, oh, this. So you want to also find out how much do organizations pay their social media managers here in Nigeria. I think it's within the same range of about 60,000 naira to 70,000, also depending on, right? And then some of them would require that you have some skills like video editing skills, graphic design skills. So if you think about all of that, and if it's something you're going to be offering, then you want to be able to add in, you know, say for instance, money for video editing in there, graphic design also in there, to ensure that you're well rounded. Again, the goal is, do not inconvenience yourself because you're trying to offer a service. Because at the end of the day, right, it matters to God how you serve the people that you serve, which was one of the things that I struggled with because I just wanted, clients. I was just like, they say they show you this and you say, yes, I can do it. But then you now begin the job and you're frustrated and you're like, good, at the end of this, what am I doing? So, and then also you need to identify how many clients can I work with a month. You must know your strength. Am I able to work with 3 clients effectively without any drama? When I say drama, it doesn't mean that there won't be, things that the clients will say to you and all of that. There's that, right? But I mean that without you looking back and saying, I wish, my data don't finish, now I have to, that struggle, that drama. You don't want that. So ask yourself, can I work with 3 clients effectively? Can I work with 2 clients effectively? Can I work with 5 clients effectively for a month? Some people are graced and can be graced to get 5 clients at a time and work with, right? So there is no limitation. So don't set that limitation in your head, but find out what is my strength and my capacity. Can I take more clients on? And if I can, then maybe what you want to do is, okay, since I'm going to be getting 3 clients or 4 clients or 5 clients, then instead of charging, say, about 80,000 naira, this is me just giving, just giving a fee, doesn't necessarily mean that's it. Then you can say to yourself, okay, since I'm going to be getting more, I can beat down my price and give them at an average of say maybe about 50 or 60,000 naira or 40,000 naira and say or 30,000 naira if you want to do that. And because you know that it is still one data you're going to use to navigate all the entire client. So really it is just about understanding yourself, your self-worth, enjoying the work that you do research, also find out what is the beginning rate, right? And then find a balance so that at the end of the month you are not grumbling, because the whole essence of this provision that God is making for you as a freelancer is to meet your needs, right? It is not saying it will meet all your needs at once, but it's to begin to meet your needs. So you want something that is reasonable for a start. So what is reasonable? Consider your data. If you don't have free Wi-Fi that you're using, but if you have free Wi-Fi and you're so, I can take 10 clients at 20,000 naira, go for it. So
Mary,
yeah.
why do I feel like you're dissing me? Because I said I had free Wi-Fi, Abby.
No, I
Oh
just
my
want us to put
goodness.
down. If you're not living alone now, at the time I was living by myself, data was cooking. I just
Oh my
wanted to
goodness,
put
I
it
love
out
it. I love it. Yeah, I love it. I love the
there.
fact that you say that we should remember that we are first, doing business as service unto the Lord. So it's
Yeah,
very important how we even do business, even as Christians. I think that's like the starting point for people who are Christians who have the kingdom mindsets, so that we are not grumbling. So all of these points that Mary has mentioned, we want to go over it from the point of, okay, I'm a Christian. How do I
Yeah.
do? How do I serve as if I'm serving unto the Lord? I love it. There's one last question I would like to ask before we wrap up finally. I feel like some ladies might have in their mind that, Mary, I'm not a tech person, but I really want to do this. I'm not a techie person, but I really want to do this. What do I do? How can you answer this?
So again, I think that there was a reason why I even shared on the self-esteem, the low self-esteem thing, and also limitations in the mind. And the reason why the word try is one of the things that we also shared in the beginning. So I'm highlighting these three things: limitations in the mind, try, and then also low self-worth. There's absolutely nobody on the face of the earth that if you put your mind to something that you cannot learn anything at whatever age that you are. So sometimes we just say to ourselves and we think that we cannot. But the reality is that once you just begin, you won't even know how you begin and grow from there. Now, if you have someone around you, right? Also another thing that I would say is this: interest matters a lot in this business. Interest, right? I hear, oh, I'm not able to, do this because of tech and all of that. Find somebody. Are you interested in learning it? Let's even start from there. Are you interested in knowing this thing? If you are interested, then that's a good point to start. See, there are some things that I myself I struggled with in the beginning, right? In terms of like there were some apps that I didn't know how to navigate them and all of that. Two things. I found out that, oh, there's somebody that can do this thing better than I am, and learn from them. Then the second thing is I pray about it, because I feel like I think that there's also a notion that we have that, oh, it is this work is for smart people, people that know how to just. It's not. It's not. I still pray about things that I don't understand. For instance, let me shade myself on the call. Mailchimp, Mailchimp. Oh my goodness. This Mailchimp, we've been using it since the company I was working with, though. But I still realize that there are some things I don't understand, and for some reason I'm struggling with it. And so I just looked at it. So we're sending emails that time, still on trying to understand some things. How do I navigate this? And I'm like, Lord, please help me. As simple as Lord, please help me goes a long way. That's one angle of it. Pray about that challenge, right? As long as it is something that you have interest in. I say interest because there's absolutely nothing that you can do on a starting front of interest. I'm interested in this thing, but I don't know how to do it. The Lord can work with that. Interest is a good place to start. Now, then the second thing is there somebody around me that can teach me? And the way we learn is totally, we all learn differently. Some people, once you teach them something one time, they get it. Some people, once you teach them something twice, it will take two times, three times, four times before they understand it. There's that. But if this is a business that you really want to get into, then I believe you already have the interest to learn. Then the next thing is who can help, that will patiently guide me through. Again, remember I said, for me, I didn't start with all the platforms. I knew Facebook and Instagram because I'd been there personally, even though I didn't understand some things, but how to do a post and how to post, I know how to do that one. So I knew that was a good starting point for me. And I built up from there to where I am now currently. So interest, you know, is the very good place to start. Then look for somebody that can teach you how to. And I believe that one of the ways the scale up mentoring session for as many that will sign up is a very good beginning platform for you to begin to learn the things that you have interest in, but you're like, who will teach me, who will help me, who will do that. The mentoring sessions, which coach Dami is that platform for you to sign up and then get as many other people that you know to also come on board. Like, oh, me and my friend, oh, we don't know how to do this thing. Mentors are now available for you to be able to do that. That's a good place, right? Don't put limitations in your mind. You can do all things through Christ, which strengthens you. I believe that strongly. I've been able to do things without necessarily being in class for them, just by this thing I have interest. I want to learn how to do this thing. Lord, please help me, God. Aside from getting somebody that I know does it, right? It is also learning how to do it, right? And praying about it. So yeah, these are just, what I believe, can help. Again, this is not an overall absolute for everybody, but it's a good place to start.
Thank you so much, Mary. I mean, you've said a lot. You have touched my heart. Thank you so much. We're discussing some time back, about, doing business 2025 and all of that, and how we're talking about how the Lord just placed on our hearts in different ways about collaboration, about the importance of being in a community. I don't know why. I mean, I've been strongly saying this, a few months now, that I feel like right now it's very important as Christians, as freelancers, to be in a community of like minds, of people who understand you, of people who, when you're having a low season, can just say, hey, what's going on? I mean, if you have listened to Mary when she started, how she cried all night, and somebody called her, who is that person that is calling you, that is saying, hey, what's going on? That thing that you have used, what are you using it for? That client that you feel like, this client is stressing me out. What do I do? Who is that person that is working this journey with you? I feel like it's not good for us to do life alone, even in business too. God has placed the solitary in family for a purpose and for a reason. And we need is very, very important for us right now to be in a community. I think that Mary, someone is still thinking, should I join? Should I not join? You wanna answer that question finally as we go on.
Okay. So sorry, they've taken the lights. It's Nigeria. We're in Nigeria, so they carry lights. So again, yes, I was having a conversation. Interestingly, right? The way that conversation began was that I was suddenly feeling overwhelmed, and I felt like it was time for me to scale up, right, in terms of the work that I do. And I know that Coach Dami had already, and which is one of the things, and I must say this publicly, and something that I've also like just said to her. I'm really grateful for her in my life because I've had very pivotal moments where I've just reached out to her, sent her a message and say, Coach Dami, and she always responds. And that for me is for somebody who went a very long time without having someone to even be able to say, oh, regarding work, is there somebody I can call? Regarding, different areas of your life, is there somebody that you can call that would, even if they can't meet up with you at that moment, would be able to say to you that we'll get on a call sometime, we'll do this, let's do this, and this is exactly what I believe the mentoring session is about. And I was at that point, feeling very overwhelmed and like, oh, I needed to upskill for some reason and transition, but I needed clarity. It wasn't like I didn't know what I needed to do. I knew. But I was overwhelmed by so much. And I sent her a message, we get on a call and we're talking about it. And I'm like, yes, 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 this is actually, yes, yeah, yeah, and we began this conversation, and I started to say to her about how I'd also just been sensing, I'd had a dream, where I was, hearing the word collaboration and in fact, on Sunday, Coach Dami, I was at a program, and the couple that they were interviewing on at that program also shared how that they were, having, there was just this overwhelm in the atmosphere in their house, and they couldn't tell what it was. And one day the Holy Spirit says to him, "You are not collaborating with your wife." When I heard that, I'm like, yes, again, this is the word collaboration and partnership. When we read that scripture and we hear, oh, one will chase 1,000. So we're grateful to God. We have a lot of us have chased thousands and we have successfully done that. But it's time, if the increase you are believing God for, that increase is in collaboration. It's not in you alone. Now look at it says that, and two shall chase 10,000. A an exceedingly great amount of 9,000. Look at that gap, all because of two hands coming together. Collaboration will bring you the increase. And this is what I believe the mentoring sessions will do for you. and the skill of community will do for you. So if you're wondering to yourself, you have been praying to God and crying, Father, help me, help has come. This is help right here. This is help. So I don't know how else to to explain help to you. You cry to God, God has answered your prayers. This is help, and you're saying, it's like the story of the person. I've heard the story said over and over again about a man on a boat, and was crying and saying, "Oh Lord, can you help me?" And or some, it was stranded on an island, and then a boat came, and then it was like, "Oh no, thank you. Do you need help?" You say, "Oh no, thank you," but you need help to leave this island where you're stranded to move to the next one. And then the Lord sends a boat. You said, "No, thank you." He sends a whale to come to help. He says, "No, thank you." And then you're still crying to God. And the Lord was like, "But I sent you this. You refused help. I sent you this one. You refused help." So it's also one of the things that I also had to learn, that the Lord has put help in earthen vessels around us. And when you ask for help, which is one of the things I did with that prayer that day, the next morning somebody calls me and begins a conversation that has brought me to this point in my life. And I still have help. So this is all the yeah, go for it that you're going to get from me. So if you're yet to sign up for Skill Up, please do so. This is help for you. And I mean, I don't know how else we can put this out there, but yeah, this is help. So go for it.
Thank you so much, Mary. Thank you for agreeing to come on the call with me. Thank you for agreeing to partner with me in being a mentor at the Scale Up. I don't take it for granted at all. I know that God, I told her years ago that don't worry, we'll still do something together. When I was saying it, I didn't know what it was going to be, but you see how
True.
God straightens and does things. So thank you so much. It's been an amazing time having this chat with you. I'm sure that people watching now and people that will watch, afterwards, will glean something from it. Okay, and yes, if you want to be a mentee of Mary, yeah, I'll just leave the link in the description so that you can sign up and you can have direct access to her. Thank you so much, Mary. God bless you. God
Thank
bless
you.
you.
Thank you,
Yeah.
everyone. It's a thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
And you
Bye.
too. Bye.
Okay.